it's not uncommon as well for people to come into a Zen center or any, spiritual place like that, where a lot of spiritual practice is done, and to sort of be a bit freaked out by it, because it's kind of like shining a light into something that's been dark for a while. And it's been dark for a reason, whatever this light is shining on. So once the light is shone, then that can be quite scary. It's kind of, if you was in a dark room and then you turned the light on, you saw a tiger, and then you turned the light back off, you can't pretend that you didn't see that tiger, so usually the thing would be to run out of there. But sometimes you'll turn the light on and there'll be, a beautiful rose flower or something, so yeah, it's, I experienced both of those things living in the Zen center. Yeah.
That's a beautiful analogy, actually. I think that can be used in any form of health improvement, right? Because if you start eating cleanly, stuff starts to come up. You're bringing all this light into the body, and it can be scary. It can be hard. It can be emotional. And a lot of times people then say, oh, that's not for me. No, that didn't work for me. Because stuff was coming up that they perhaps didn't want to deal with. They saw the tiger and they thought, oh, I never want to see that tiger again. That was horrible.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama says when these things come up, when we see the tiger, the best way to deal with that tiger is to deal with it right then, right there. Go into the tiger, feel it, understand it. And I guess if I'm being a bit esoteric for some people, perhaps what I'm saying is whenever in life things come up, as we improve our health, we shift our consciousness, things are going to come up, and the best time to deal with them is then, and feeling into them. Maybe it's the fear of death, fear of dying early, right? If we actually sit and spend time with that fear and understand it, then when it actually comes time for that, we'll be less stressed. We'll have more of an understanding. Might still be hard, but we'll have sort of felt that already, instead of not accepting it, distracting ourselves, moving away from it, pretending the tiger was never there.
Yeah.
Pretending that fear was never there. And then when things go wrong or things happen, it can be really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, what starts to happen is, and if it doesn't, you can kind of choose to understand this as well. But the understanding starts to happen that when you see this tiger, that actually if you run away from this Zen center that brought this tiger out, or wherever it was, or this diet, wherever you run away to, the tiger goes with you. So like you can't, if you understand that and experience that literally, then it becomes senseless to run away. And in that intermediate state of, okay, I can't run away and this tiger's here, but how to deal with it? And so then you're in this sort of middle ground. And either by kind of the right understanding or just continuously revisiting, not running away, it gets resolved, or it either doesn't need to get resolved. And like you say, it reminded me of a quote. I think it was from St. John of the Cross, actually. I'm not quite sure, but I think it was. And he said that enlightenment is the, what was it? Enlightenment is the absolute cooperation, is 100% cooperation with the inevitable. And that can be translated to whatever you're running from, you actually cannot run from, and you will need to deal with it at some point. So, like you said, and this is why I like that you went onto the sort of diet stuff, because this has been a big part of my journey as well. The diet, and particularly through an illness I had, it brought up so much of what I was hiding from. And this is even, this started to happen when I was in the Zen center. And I would even say it could have even been because it was sped up by being in a Zen center, or, and doing all of the inner work I was doing, which doesn't sound very healthy at all, but it actually is. It's like it's like if you're ill with migraines and you keep taking medication, we all know that there's side effects, and there's definitely a bad side to medication. So when you're taking that, it might reduce the migraine, if it does at all. But it's not dealing with the underlying issue. And that you still have a headache, whether you're experiencing it or not, or a migraine, like it's still there. So when it comes up and it doesn't feel pleasant and it feels horrible, this is a sign of good health. It's healthy to get that out. This is where the kind of understanding has shifted in me through this journey. Yeah.
I think that's where meditation can play a massive role, because as you said, you can have that separateness in a way from what's happening, and it allows you to shift the angle that you approach it with, right?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying, I mean, if we don't deal with something, it'll come with you, and it may show up in another form, but it'll be the same thing happening if we don't deal with it.
Yeah.
And dealing with that stuff, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but we grow.